22. So Aaron said, do not let the anger of my Lord become hot. You know the people, that they are set on evil. For they said to me, make us gods that shall go before us. As for this Moses, the man who brought us out of the land of Egypt, we do not know what he has become of us. So what does it say there about the golden calf? Let's make us what? Gods. And that, so now, look at that. What's God been staring at for all these years since Jeroboam? And that, two golden calves now, in that time. Let's go to 1 Kings 12. I believe that's where I found it. Now, but let's just read from 1 Kings 12, verse 25 and down for a little bit. Then Jeroboam built Shechem in the mountains of Ephraim and dwelt there. Also he went out from there and built Penuel. And Jehoram said in his heart, now the kingdom may return to the house of David. Notice that. This is what these golden calves are representing. They're worried about. He's worried about them going to Judah, to where they're supposed to worship. And then 27, if these people go up to offer sacrifice to the house of the Lord at Jerusalem, then the heart of this people will turn back to their Lord Rehoboam, king of Judah, and they will kill me and go back to Rehoboam, the king of Judah. Therefore the king asked advice, made 2 calves of gold, and said to the people, it is too much for you to go up to Jerusalem. Here are your gods, O Israel, which brought you up from the land of Egypt. Kind of sounds like he had something, and then it goes on and says, and he set up one in Bethel and one in Dan. Kind of sounds like he had a good reason, trying to save them the journey and everything. But what does the law of Moses say?
No idols.
Huh?
No idols.
No idols. And then sitting here trying to figure out why God, all this time we've been reading about it in Kings, and finally in Oxley class on Sunday, I think we're in 1 Corinthians, right in the start of 1 Corinthians 10, it says they were baptized into Moses. So they were supposed to be following the law of Moses, and that they knew better, and what are they doing? So when we read all this, and we keep reading it, this person did right in the sight of the Lord, and then all of a sudden, why is Jehu getting chastised for not taking down those calves? What do we realize? What is Jehu trying to hang on to the same as Jehoram? Why did Jehoram do what he did? And that he's worried about power. He's thought about losing power, and that this is Jehu, as good as he was and did everything for the Lord, and that what was he still looking after? The power of the position. And that when we read in 1 Samuel, what did the people ask for originally? Someone to judge them, and someone to what? Fight their battles. And that, so far they've had a lot of kings that fought battles, but are they judging the people correctly? And that, so I've always wondered why, God says, before you go to judge someone else, pull the plank out of your own eye. We're seeing it right here with Jehu, and that he did what was right. I mean, he judged Ahab and everything. God put him out in power to do all that. He fought against Ahab and everything, and got rid of that whole family. What else are we realizing? And let's read a little bit farther in that same part. Let's read 30 again. The Lord said to Jehu, because you have done well in doing what is right in my sight, and have done to the house of Ahab all that was in son shall be on the throne of Israel for the fourth generation. So what do we know about God's heart right here? You know, you're gonna go against him like Ahab did and Jeroboam did. And that, what God saved out of Jeroboam's family? One young person. He wasn't, I mean, he wasn't saved. He was spared having to die to death, to watch everyone die. Because as we read through all this, did anyone in Ahab's house get spared death? No. So, things to think about. When, remember I told you, you know, in Hebrews it says we're all priests and kings now? Something things that we should think about how we're acting in that, you know, and that, because we can see God's word in that, and how it's not all God doing everything for us. He's also going to do, you know, what he needs to do to, you know, punish us. Or in this case, this is what happened to Ahab sounds like vengeance. You know, God said, vengeance is mine. You know, this sounds like his vengeance just got completed. And that, so I always think about that when we're reading that. We also know about the high places now in Judah that were never knocked down, but it said that is right in the sight of the Lord. And that, so think about that. These golden calves were something that God didn't want to see. And that, right, Humphrey?
The first commandment, thou shalt have no other gods before me. Second commandment, thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image. Moses hadn't even come down from the mountain yet for those commandments, and they were already worshiping a golden calf. Why a golden calf? Why did they choose a calf? Well, that golden calf they copied from Egypt. It was one of their main gods.
Yeah, it was a god of power and,
Right.
and what do you call it? I can't remember now.
Yeah, it was, they borrowed that from Egypt, and so what they were saying is, the God that rescued us, we're gonna worship another God. That was one big reason, of course, why God's not, because it was an idol. And they fell right into that right away. So it just shows how the people were.
Right. And actually, the worship in Egypt was a golden bull.
Yeah.
They chose a golden calf, meaning they wanted someone new to follow because they don't know what happened to Moses. And that, I find it, you know, interesting. Jesus was chosen as a lamb, and that also, and that some, you know, you. So anyways, when we're reading this, I found that interesting, that, you know, it's something we should really look at ourselves and pay attention to, and that, are we following in that same way? You know, what do we think, where is power coming from? Is it always coming from God? God sends it in a lot of different things, but do we realize all the time it's coming God, or are we counting on a doctor and everything? That's where our prayers come in. What are we not reading about any after David in that? I don't remember even reading about Solomon. Well, Solomon prayed earlier on. He was about the last king that did any praying that we see. And that, you know, these people are hanging on to power, and that's not something you should do. Power is always going to come from God, and he's going to give it to whoever he wants. And again, God's will prevail. And now we can see after we read about through Ahab and through Jehu, God's will is going to be done. He willed it. He said it was going to be done, and it came true. So anything that we think that we can get away with, you got to be careful with that, because it's proven it right here in these pages right now that God's will be done, and that he may use another person to do it, but it will be done. So anyways, we're going to pick up in chapter 13. In the 23rd year of Joash, the son of Ahijah, the king of Judah, Jehoahaz, the son of Jehu, became king over Israel and Samaria, and reigned 17 years. Do we know where we are approximately on the schedule now of what year it is? Now we're right at the end of 800 going into 700 BC. Is it 700 BCs? I think we're right at about 806 BC. see right here with this king. And let's also remember, what do we know what happened to the northern kingdom in 720 BC? It's gonna fall, so we're not very far away from the fall either. And have we seen any good kings yet in the northern kingdom? And that, there's gonna be 19 of them, and not one of them did right in the sight of the Lord. So you wonder why the northern kingdom fell first? Well, we have a pretty good representation of what's happening. Verse 2, and he did evil in the sight of the Lord, and followed the sins of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, who had made Israel sin. He did not depart from them. Then the anger of the Lord was aroused against Israel, and he delivered them into the hands of Hazael, the king of Syria, and into the hands of Benhadad, the son of Hazael, all their days. What did we just read about in the past chapter that made Elijah cry? What did he just say Hazael was going to do? Do we remember from last week? Where is it? Chapter 8, and that in verse 10. And Elisha said to him, go say to him, you shall certainly recover. However, the Lord has shown me that he will really die. This was Ben-Hadad, and this is Hazael. Then he set his countenance in the stair until he was ashamed, and the man of God wept. And Hazael said, why is my Lord weeping? He answered, because I know the evil that you will do to the children of Israel. Their strongholds you will set on fire, and their young men you will kill with the sword, and you will dash their children and rip open their women with child. This is what's happening right now, is what we're reading right now. This is what Hazael's doing. Verse 4, so Jehoahaz pleaded with the Lord and said to the Lord, listen to him, for he saw the oppression of Israel, because the king of Syria oppressed them. Then the Lord gave Israel a deliverer, so that they escaped from under the hand of Syrians, and the children of Israel dwelt in their tents as before. Notice that. Every time Israel has ever been oppressed, what does God do? He's intervened. You know, there was a punishment meant for Israel, but not oppression. Not what Hazael's about to do. 6. Nevertheless, they did not depart from the sins of the house of Jeroboam, who had made Israel sin, but walked in them, and the wooden image also remained in Samaria. For he left of the army of Jehoahaz only 50 horsemen, 10 chariots, and 10,000 foot soldiers. For the king of Syria had destroyed them and made them like the dust at threshing. Now the rest of the acts of Jehoahaz, all that he did, and his might, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel? So Jehoahaz rested with his fathers, and they buried him in Samaria. Then Joash, his son, reigned in his place. Jehoash reigned in Israel in the 37th year of Joash, king of Judah. Joash, the son of Jehoahaz, became king over Israel and Samaria, and reigned 16 years. And he did evil in the sight of the Lord. He did not depart from the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who made Israel sin, but walked in them. Now the rest of the acts of Joash, and notice the difference there. What's it say? What also is added right there? Remember, usually it's, they didn't cause Israel to sin, and because he didn't get rid of the golden calf, and that, what does it say now? And that, but he walked in them. There's a difference there. Notice that. This guy is blatantly walking back to Joash all that he did and his might with which he fought against Amaziah, king of Judah. Are they not written in the books of Chronicles of the kings of Israel? So Joash rested with his fathers. Then Jeroboam sat on his throne, and Joash was buried in Samaria with the kings of Israel. Elisha had become sick with the illness of which he would die. Then Joash the king of Israel came down to him and wept over his face and said, O my father, the chariots of Israel and their horsemen. And Elisha said to him, Take a bow and some arrows. So he took himself a bow and some arrows. Then he said to the king of Israel, Put your hand on the bow. So he put his hand on it, and Elisha put his hand on the king's hands. And he said, Open the east window and open it. And then Elisha said, Shoot, and he shot. And he said, The arrow of the Lord deliverance and the arrow of deliverance from Syria for you must strike the Syrians at Epic till you have destroyed them. Then he said, Take an arrow. So he took them, and he said to the king of Israel, Strike the ground. So he struck 3 times and stopped. And the man of God was angry with him and said, You should have struck 5 or 6 times. Then you would have struck Syria till you had destroyed it. But now you will strike Syria only 3 times. Like Jason said last Wednesday, interesting thought. You don't get any more than that. I tried to make more of it for a whole week, and that there's not good reference to it to understand the thinking behind it. Then Elisha died, and they buried him, and the raiding bands from Moab invaded the land in the spring of the year. So it was, as they were burying a man, that suddenly they spied on bands of raiders, and they put the man in the tomb of Elisha. When the man was let down and touched the bones of Elisha, he revived it and stood on his feet. And Hazael, king of Syria, oppressed Israel all the days of Jehoahaz, but the Lord was gracious to them and had compassion on them and regarded them because of his covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and would not yet destroy them or cast them from his presence. Notice that word in there, yet. And that's yet to come. Now Hazael, king of Syria, died. Then Ben-Hadad, his son, reigned in his place. And Jehoash, the son of Jehoahaz, recaptured from the hand of Ben-Hadad, the son of Hazael, the cities which he had taken out of the hand of Jehoahaz, his father, by war. 3 times Joash defeated him and recaptured the cities of Israel. In the 2nd year of Joash, the son of Jehoahaz, king of Israel, Amaziah, the son of Joash, king of Judah, became king. He was 25 years old when he became king, and he reigned 29 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Jehoiada of Jerusalem, and he did what was right in the sight of the Lord, yet not like his father David. He did everything as his father Joash had done. Notice that. There's a difference in that. So there's another question. What did David do right? What's the difference that we're going to start seeing right off the bat?
The high places were not moved.
What's that?
The high places were not moved.
True. That's one of them, but that's the obvious one on that. What's the difference between David and most good kings?
David had a heart after God. David had a heart after
Right.
God.
And how did he treat the people?
Treated well.
He shepherded them, right? What is the heart of God? Would he send his own son to what? Shepherd us, and that. So we're getting a little bit more about what's in a king right now, the difference of it in that, and what they're doing as they're reigning. David was much more a shepherd to the people, and that. This is not doing right and shepherding people are 2 different things. 4. However, the high places were not taken away, and the people still sacrificed and burned incense the high places. Now it happened as soon as the kingdom was established in his hand, that he executed his servants who had murdered his father the king. But the children of the murderers he did not execute according to what is written in the book of the law of Moses, in which the Lord commanded, saying, fathers shall not be put to death for their children, nor shall children be put to death for their fathers, but a person shall be put to death for his own sins. Sounds like a man that knew God's word, doesn't it? Or knew some of the law. The first time we're starting to see and that something come out where, parts of the law remain in people, it's showing up and that we're getting exposed to it. 7. He killed 10,000 Edomites in the valley of Salt and took Siwa by war and called it named Joktiel to this day. Then Mesa sent messengers to Joash, the son of Jehoaz, the son of Jehu, king of Israel, saying, come, let us face one another in battle. And Joash, king of Israel, sent to Mesa, king of Judah, saying, the thistle that was in Lebanon sent to the cedar that was in Lebanon, saying, give your daughter to my son as a wife. And the wild beast that was in Lebanon passed by and trampled the thistle. You have indeed defeated Edom, and your heart has lifted you up glory in that, and stay at home, for why should you meddle with trouble, so that you fall, you and Judah with you? But Misa would not heed. Therefore Joash, king of Israel, went out. So he and Misa, king of Judah, faced one another at Beth Shemesh, which belonged to Judah. And Judah was defeated by Israel, and every man fled to his tent. Then Jehoash, king of Israel, captured Misa, king of Judah, the son of Joash, the son of Ahijah, and Beth Shemesh, and he went to Jerusalem and broke down the wall of Jerusalem from the gate of Ephraim to the corner gate, 400 cubits. And he took all the gold and silver, all the articles that were found in the house of the Lord and in the treasuries of the king's house, and hostages, and returned to Samaria. Now the rest of the acts of Jehoash, which he did, and did his might, and how he fought with Misa, king of Judah, are they not written in the book of Chronicles of the kings of Israel? So Jehoash rested with his fathers and was buried in Samaria with the kings of Israel. Then Jeroboam, his son, reigned in his place. Misa, the son of Joash, king of Judah, lived 15 years after the death of Joash, the son of Jehoaz, king of Israel. Now the rest of the acts of Misa, are they not written in that book of the Chronicle of the kings of Judah? Chronicle of the kings of Judah. Interesting. Notice the difference there now? Different book. And that. Different way they worded it. And that. The book of Chronicles of Judah.
And there's, I'm asking myself the question, why would God allow Israel to defeat Judah after telling us that the king of Judah was a good man who did right in the sight of God? Israel wasn't doing so good.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, Judah challenged them to battle, and God let Israel come in and not only win, but tear down the walls of Jerusalem, take away the utensils from the temple. It's hard to wrap your head around this until you go to 2 Chronicles 25 and find out that this king, Amaziah, after he defeated Moab, he took their idols and he started worshiping them. So that was pretty bad. Now it makes sense why God would allow this.
And that, and the other part is too, what was supposed to happen when Rehoboam and Jeroboam wanted to go up against each other? God told them not to. He didn't want his people fighting against each other. And this is, even though Israel hasn't had a good king, it's still part of the promised land, his people. And he look what God did do with Jehu. He just sent him. He was the son of a king of Judah, and he sent him to be king in Israel. And that, I mean, God cares for everyone. He sent the king up there, hopefully, and that, and again, Jehu fell a little bit short. 19, and they formed a conspiracy against him in Jerusalem, and he fled to Lachish, but they sent after him Lachish and killed him there. Then they brought him on horses, and he was buried in Jerusalem with his father in the city of David. And all the people of Judah took Azariah, who was 16 years old, and made him king instead of his father Mesa. He built Elath and restored it to Judah after the king rested with his fathers. In the 15th year of Amaziah, the son of Joash, king of Judah, Jeroboam, the son of Joash, king of Israel, became king in Samaria and reigned 41 years. And he did evil in the sight of the Lord. He did not depart from all the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who had made Israel sin. He restored the territory of Israel from the entrance of Hamath to the sea of the Arabah, according to the word of the Lord God in Israel, which he had spoken through his servant Jonah, the son of Amittai, the prophet who was from Gath Hepher. For the Lord saw that the affliction of Israel was very bitter, and whether bond or free, there was no helper for Israel. The Lord did not say that he would blot out the name of Israel from under heaven, but he saved them by the hand of Jeroboam, the son of Joash. Now the rest of the acts of Jeroboam, and all that he did, his might, how he made war, and how he recaptured for Israel from Damascus and Hamath what had belonged to Judah, were they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel. And so Jeroboam rested with his fathers and the kings of Israel, and Zechariah, the son reigned in his place. So obviously there's another book we just read about too. We got the book of the Chronicles, we got the books of Judah, now we got the book of Israel. Sounds like there's a lot of information being passed down over the years back then. We don't have, available to us now, but it was available to them.
Look at verse 20 of 14, kind of an unusual verse there. And they brought him on horses, and he was buried at Jerusalem with his fathers in the city of David. The city of David is Bethlehem. I can't remember what the explanation was, but I thought that was kind of unusual.
Oh, I didn't catch that. I didn't think of it, to be honest with you.
Now, what I've always thought was interesting is that Israel is wicked right now. Jeroboam, this king, Jeroboam II, is wicked. But God's been oppressing them because they're so wicked. And this is the only time I can think of where God said, all right, they are not listening to me, but I've been so hard on them, I'm going to give them a little reprieve. And sends Jonah to come in and give them a positive message in the middle of all of their wickedness, which is hard to wrap my head around. And it also helps to understand why Jonah was so angry going to the Ninevites.
Mhm.
He had the best job of all prophets in the Old Testament. He could bring good news to some kings about God, and God's going to bless them. And now he's got to do this job that he hates, and only going to save them. And in 7 years or something like that, and then he's going to come and destroy Israel. But it's just a really strange time.
Very much so. Yeah. I'm probably growing up in this area, to quite honest with you. 15. In the 27th year of Jeroboam, king of Israel, Azariah, the son of Amaziah, king of Judah, became king. He was 16 years old when he became king, and he reigned 52 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Jecoliah. royal house, judging the people of the land. Now the rest of the acts of Azariah and all that he did, are they not written in the book of Chronicles in the kings of Judah? Notice that's the first time we're reading too, and that he's judging the people, and that's what they had asked for. They wanted someone to judge them and fight their battles. And that's, even though the guy was struck by a leper, then Israel not still have someone to judge them. So Azariah rested with his father, and they buried him with his father in the city of David. And Jotham, his son, reigned in his place. In the 38th year of Azariah, king of Judah, Zechariah, the son of Jeroboam, reigned over Israel in Samaria 6 months. And he did evil in the sight of the Lord as his father had done. He did not depart from the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who had made Israel sin. Then Shallum, the son of Jabesh, conspired against him, and struck and killed him in front of the people, and he reigned in his place. Now the rest of the acts of Zechariah, indeed, they are written in the books of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel. This was the word of the Lord which he spoke to Jehu, saying, Your son shall sit on the throne of Israel to the 4th generation, and so it was.
Going back to Isaiah, again, there's all this glowing things about him. He did right in the sight of the Lord, according to all that Amaziah, just didn't take away the high places. And then the next verse says, The Lord struck the king, so that the king was a leper to the day of his death. Like, we're not going to wonder about what's going on here. He's doing great, but God strikes him with leprosy. Why is he doing that? Then you have to go to 2 Chronicles, and then you see that he decided he was going to go into the temple and in his pride offer an incense offering to God in God's temple, which only the priests were allowed to do. He gets mad at the priest for telling him don't do that, and he sticks his hand out towards him, and God strikes him with leprosy in that moment. There's a lot of backstory we're missing.
Huh?
There's a lot of backstory that we're missing.
Right, that's true. I mean, I've been trying to stay with the context here and not move into Chronicles, but you're right. There is a lot more in Chronicles. Each book feeds itself, doesn't it? You see it just, coming more and more and more and more.
But Matt, that's nothing to really to worry about, because as we see these stories, we see go back and forth, a little bit of good, a lot of evil, a little bit of good, evil, but there's nothing in there that would ever contradict what God has to say concerning these matters. There's some who look at the New Testament and they talk about, the letter to Laodiceans, where is it? Well, it doesn't matter. We believe it was the book of Ephesians. That's what they were talking about. But if there's something of importance, God will make it known to us. God is not going to hide anything, because there's some religions that will pull up these verses and see, there's a book that we don't have. Well, just read the narrative, see what's going on. You're going to find out, it's not going to be that much different. All it is doing is just telling history. And like what Jason said, it just goes into a little bit more detail. Now, how much detail do you need to be convinced that God is either with them or he's not with them? So God is not hiding anything. What we need to know, God will he will allow us to know.
And that, other thing, I can't remember when were all 66 books put together.
Three something? I can't remember.
I can't remember either.
Right.
I remember 3 something. So you got a 300-year span.
Well, those books are already there. It's just that some finally got them put together in a line, together right in front of you. Because there's other books there that are not included, but we have what we need with those 66.
Right, I agree. But what I'm trying to say is, do you have, even if all 66 books are there, do you have time? If all the paperwork was there, they had to go look for it back then. It wasn't all put together like we had it. In other words, they had to borrow paperwork back then, go somewhere and want to learn about that.
Was it at the Council of Nicene in the 300s that they finally book is inspired, this isn't. We don't need a council to tell us what's inspired. God has given us what's inspired. All they merely did was just vote on it for what that was worth.
Right. And as you read these books, you can see the inspiration. I mean, the more you read them, the more you can see why they're picked. And chapter 15. In the 27th year of Jeroboam, the king of Israel, Azariah the son of Mesa, the king of Judah, became king. Oh, where did I stop? I'm down in verse 18 now. Originally. Yep, okay, sorry. Verse 8. In the 38th year of Mosiah the king of Judah, Zechariah the son of Jeroboam reigned over Israel in Samaria 6 months, and he did evil in the sight of the Lord, and his fathers had done. He did not depart from the sins of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, who had made Israel sin. Then Shallum the son of Jabesh conspired against him, and struck and killed him in front of the people, and he reigned in his place. And now the rest of the acts of Zechariah, indeed they are written in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Israel. This was the word of the Lord which he spoke to Jehu, saying, Your son shall sit on the throne of Israel to the 4th generation. And so it was. Shallum the son of Jabesh became king in the 39th year of Uzziah, king of Judah, and he reigned a full month in Samaria. For Menahem, the son of Gadi, went up from Tirzah, came to Samaria, and struck Shallum, the son of Jabesh, in Samaria, and killed him, and he reigned in his place. Now the rest of the acts of Shallum and the conspiracy which he led, indeed, they are written in the books of the Chronicles of the Kings of Israel. Then from Tirzah, Menahem attacked Tisha, all who were there and its territory, because they did not surrender. Therefore he attacked it. All the women there who were with child he ripped open. In the 39th year of Azariah, the king of Judah, Menahem, the son of Gadi, became king over Israel, and reigned 10 years in Samaria. And he did evil in the sight of the Lord. And he did not depart all his days from the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who had made Israel sin. Pul, king of Assyria, came against the land, and Menahem gave Pul 1,000 talents of silver, that his hand might be with him to strengthen the kingdom under his control. And Menahem exacted the money from Israel, from all the very wealthy, from each man 50 shekels of silver, to give to the king of Assyria. So the king of Assyria turned back and did not stay there in the land. Now the rest of the acts of Menahem and all that he did, are they not written in the books of the Chronicles of the Kings of Israel? So Menahem rested with his fathers, then Pekaniah his son reigned in his place. In the 15th year of Azariah, king of Judah, Pekaniah the son of Menahem became king over Israel in Samaria, and reigned 2 years. And he did evil in the sight of the Lord. He did not depart from his sins, as Jeroboam the son of Nebat, who made Israel sin. Then Pekah the son of Remaliah, an officer of his, conspired against him and killed him in Samaria, in the citadel of the king's house, along with Argob the Arith, and with him were 50 men of Gilead. He killed him and reigned in his place. Now the rest of the acts of Pekaniah and all that he did, indeed they are written in the books of the Chronicles of the Kings of Israel. Kind of interesting, as we keep on reading, the stories keep on getting shorter and shorter and shorter, as we're getting closer and closer to the Syrians attacking.
What stands out to me is that, like, this guy, he did evil in the sight of the Lord. He did not depart from the sins of Jeroboam. Okay, so was he worse than his predecessors? No. He's just
council knows what they're doing. They're now conspiring against each other to take power, aren't they? We just keep on reading, this guy conspired to do this guy conspired to do that. We're reading more about that, these guys we can see why the Assyrians are gonna take over in a few years. God kind of getting to the end of his, or the cup is getting pretty full, is what I'm trying to get at. 27, in the 52nd year of Azariah, king of Judah, Pekah, the son of Remaliah, became king over Israel and Samaria, and reigned 20 years, and he did evil in the sight of the Lord. He did not depart from the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who had made Israel sin. That's the other thing I wanted to bring up too. Notice, why does it never say he did worse than Jeroboam? Why do we never see that? In that. All these, we're going to go through 19 kings, and it always goes to this. What was so important about Jeroboam's sin than that? What I tried to say earlier. Huh? What's that?
He set the bar from the beginning.
Well, he pushed people away from God, didn't he? He wanted them, he wanted them away from God, and that's what everything, I think there's no other sin worse than that, than pushing people away from God. That we keep on reading, I found that odd, that, never reread that there's nothing any worse. It's always that right there. You gotta be careful. Another thing to think about, are we pushing people away from God? It's not something we want to do. Because obviously, this is pretty well spoken right here. 29, in the days of Pekah, the king of Israel, Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, came and took Aijan, Babel, Beth, Machaha, Genoa, Kadesh, Hazer, Gilead, and Galway, all the land of Naphtali, and he carried them captive to Assyria. Then Hoshea, the son of Elah, led a conspiracy against Pekah, the son of Remaliah, and struck and killed him. So he reigned in his place in the 20th year of Jotham, the son of Uzziah. Now the rest of the acts of Pekah and all that he did, indeed they are written in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Israel. Notice that word conspire again. These people are just getting worse and worse. They're not acting like God's chosen people. What was the covenant they were supposed to be, abiding by? You will be my people, and I will be your God. Or I will be your God, and you will be my people. I said wrong. And that, does this look like people of God at all that we're seeing right now? This is getting worse and worse and worse and worse.
Do you see why they went into captivity?
Yeah.
That's exactly, that's what it's leading up to.
Mm-hmm.
Assyria and Babylon. God's gonna say enough, and that's what it's gonna take. And then you'll have people like Nehemiah, who's gonna come back and try to restore what was once, but God's not ready yet. He's not ready yet. Just a little bit more has gotta happen, and then he's gonna take action, and then they're gonna cry, why are we in captivity? Well, why don't you read the book? It'll tell you why.
And sometimes we take for granted for who God is, don't we? It's a truthful statement. We can take for granted. I took for granted what God was for many years before I became a Christian. I had my own thought of what God was. Same here, I'm seeing it with these people. They have their own thoughts, and quite honestly, they're not good either. Let me go ahead and finish this up here right quick. 32. In the second year of Pekah, the son of Remaliah, king of Israel, Jotham, the son of Uzziah, king of Judah, began to reign. He was 25 years old, and he became king, and he reigned 16 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Jerusha, the daughter of Zadok, and he did what was right in the sight of the Lord. He did according to all that his father Uzziah had done. However, the high places were not removed, and the people still sacrificed and burned incense on the high places. He built the upper gate of the house of the Lord. Now the rest of the acts of Jotham and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Judah? In those days the Lord began to send Rezin king of Syria and Pekah the son of Remaliah against Judah. So Jotham rested with his fathers and was buried with his fathers in the city of David. His father then, Ahaz, his son, reigned in his place. So we can see, again, another king left the high places. So what is so God isn't really, he said they did right, but why has not God condemned those high places yet? What was the purpose of them all going to Jerusalem? And why was God want them to go from a place that he used to set the worship from the high places, to the temple? And remember, the temple's a small place, so the actual grounds for the temple or courtyard probably could hold, I'm guessing 20,000, 30,000 people. And what I read, it's about 35, 36 acres. So what did God want them to do? Instead of going separately to the high places, what they wanted to do? He wanted the high places to go away because he wanted them to congregate, to come together. He wanted his people to come together. I think that's why he has not condemned them from worshiping in the high places, but he wants his people to come together. You can't be just going everywhere. You want to come together, which we know about the time of, when Christ came, and that there was 1 million people coming into Jerusalem for the Sabbath thereof. So I think that's why we're reading about all this, and that is a part of it, coming together to congregate. What were they called when they first left Egypt? A congregation. And that they were supposed to come together. What were they? As they were separate tribes in the in the wilderness, but what did they do? They came together. They were all together. And now they got into the promised land, and what did they do? They were all apart doing. And that's not how God's people are supposed to act. We're supposed to all come together and do what? Bring each other up. That's what I think is missing when we read through all this. Anyways, I better stop there. Jason, could you do it? And Harold, would you give a photo?
Let's see out of the Maroon Songbook, Hymn for Worship, number 287. There's a fountain free. There's a fountain free, 'tis for you and me. Let us haste, oh haste to its spring. 'Tis the fount of love from the source above, and he bids us all freely drink. Will you come to the fountain free? Will you come? For you and me, thirsty soul, hear the welcome call. 'Tis a fountain open for all.
Father, thank the Lord for this day. Thank you for this time we can come together and look at your word, discuss it, and learn from it. We pray that the things that we learn be beneficial to us, helpful. And thank you for this lesson this evening. Thank you, Lord. Your word always tells us what you need us to do and what we should be doing. We pray for those, Lord, that couldn't be here, especially those that are ailing and couldn't be here at this time. Be with Gary, his extreme pain, help him with that, Lord. Help Vicky and Dan. Help all those, Lord, Kay, Sister Kay, others that are not mindful of at this time. You know them all, Lord. We pray healing hand upon them all. Strengthen us and guide us. And help us, Lord, to look forward to next time we come on Sunday morning. Strengthen and guide us and help us to help others. Forgive us where we fail you. We pray in Jesus' name.
Everybody, Destiny needs our prayers too, Destiny. She don't want anybody calling her because she can't talk right now, but she desperately needs our help, our prayers. And Caleb too, Caleb's devastated too, so. Are you okay?
Now I am perfect and I got please say
Still on that medicine.
oh, it's down so far now. Yeah, but I've been having a lot of shakes with you. And screaming about it.
There's no call.
She don't want to go all here, right now. She
Okay, I see what you mean.
cried.
Okay.
She just cried the whole time.
So, and it's never been taken. So I'm taking it. I'm not gonna be right.
That's the other thing, that's your system,
Oh, it
your
just.
level to
So I know how long that lasts and what I know. That's exactly what. Wow. So I'm trying to do things that are. Good, how are you? Yeah. That's what you do.
I'm good, how are you doing? Okay, you finally get it full staff, and now you're off. Yeah, we're training somebody now. I think, what position? QMAP. That's the So one, and then we hired, the young man who's living with us just passed his QMAP test. We're getting him CPR and everything trained, and he will be able to help cover shifts when people can't. He's gonna be working at the rec center, and it looks like it's gonna open now in September. Yeah, well, he's a little frustrated. When he was originally hired, they said.
The Mormons said he's formed the Mormons.
Well, I think he was, I think there were certain parts that he must have carried your monitor, or, you know, is this that, what is this? That's my question. Yes, I probably don't, I don't know. Good job.
Who's the top We don't know. I don't care.
So, yeah, so, but we got him that, and he's been volunteering down at the Catholic services, interviews with people who were needing some support.
So, that's the last thing, but everything's wired up. I've got it. I flew into Syracuse, went over to Niagara.
No, I know, and I don't think it says that in the scriptures, that's what the Catholic Church does.
Yeah, we were looking at the scriptures
Yeah.
where they kind of try to pull it, and I can't even figure out how.
It's a family reunion,
Yeah,
but
it's really-
of people I've never met, so I
I read the verses, I was like, I am not understanding.
Yeah, a union family, let's call it a union. It's the first meeting, yeah. But it was they've been doing this for union for 100 years.
I think that was their own.
It's 'cause it's windy, you know, there used to be a lot of people.
So that's basically why we're baptized babies.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm familiar with that. So we're Catholic Jews. I was converted to Christ when I got out. So
Interesting.
my best friend and I had a lot of rides, and I didn't know the scripture very well, so she was able to show me scripture, which I
About stuff?
didn't know. Oh, they are scriptural.
Yep. Jack's usually my best
Alright,
friend.
then they're not gonna make sure.
Yep. Guys, because he has decided definitely Calvinism is not for him.
Yeah,
And now he's considering.
I haven't made,
And I was like, how do you go from like the Tea Party to Catholicism, but it's actually higher.
I really think it's it's my opinion, I'll just say that. It's the symbology,
Well, but he also talks about the history.
History.
Yeah, like in all of history, you
philosophy
read
and
the
all.
Catholic Church was there. And
That's what
so,
they say.
so then that must be the original direction, because you don't read about the Church of Christ. Which, yes, you're right, you don't.
Yes, you do.
But you read about churches, you just don't read about the name on it, it's not such as the Catholic organization.
Well, if you,
I
so
don't-
it's my opinion that Catholicism has a long history, because you know, from the time that
yeah, no, smoke definitely does not help.
the epistles are written until about 400 or 500 years, that's like the silence.
Right.
And that's where they get all their stuff. And if you go back into the whole,
Yeah.
Roman Empire and all of that, they really attached a lot of things to the gods.
Yeah, that big part.
And so then Christianity was not really accepted, because they were persecuted.
After that, smoke.
Well, it became, there was a time in like the 300s or so,
Periodically,
where Constantine fought this big old
I
battle,
remember like.
and somebody said, now
Smoke
you
here
use
and
Jesus
here and
as
there.
your God to win this war, you're gonna be successful. Well, he praised Jesus, he won the battle, so he gave Jesus credit,
Yeah.
and around that time is
Well,
when
I know that we are definitely going
they
to.
kind of transferred,
Ever since I've been
into Christianity. So then they take all the gods, if you will, and kind of make Christian gods, because that's how they became.
Which is what they also have done with the Indian. In the Indian world, they always have that one great god, and then they have, and that's the same thing that when Christianity came to start teaching that way, they kind of said, well, yeah.
Yeah, they just kind of adopted all that
It
stuff. But,
definitely
you know, we've been,
goes in
it's
cycles.
interesting, now that
And it's interesting how that pattern has repeated.
But if you go back into Genesis, I mean, the whole idea of
It's not so much
worshiping
climate change,
God,
it's always have blue here and here, and this one is almost, it looks to me almost all year.
I'm not saying it, but they just felt like we were like, we weren't good enough to, like, good enough to, yeah,
I agree.
because our flesh is so,
The business patrons are, one that's always, I always get.
I sure wasn't.
Right.
Assume it's gonna be the same.
God gives us choices, and so there's always, we always have to kind of choose God in all circumstances.
There's a red one, it's still in January.
That's painting.
This is the first year.
And to move the library more to the wall, away, these poles, because we need to have an access escape.
There is an access.
Even though there's a door,
There is an access escape on both sides.
It's a free one.
but not enough for people like me.
To go out that door,
No, no, at the door, in between the bookcases, going from here.
there's a door right there.
I know.
Basically, it's
So Paul brought it up, I tried to find a way through the whole thing.
well, guess what? Tell Paul he could kiss mine.
There it is.
I need to be.
What's wrong now?
I don't understand what
Paul
he's trying to say.
says it's not safe. We don't have fire access. For what? What is he, what? Oh, I'm sorry.
What colors do you want in the room?
What do I want?
The colors in the room.
That was kind of interesting.
The same thing.
That's why I thought we picked all white back there.
Yeah, it's just this,
The
that,
kitchen's all white, that's all white, the office is all white except for the north wall.
not right, just that, yeah, the light color, and then the trim is the dark, is this medium color, nothing is that dark color. Back on the side.
Except for the wall in the office.
Right.
Right, yes, I forgot about the wall in the office. I always forget about that wall.
That's
Go,
all.
oh, yeah, that's there.
Well, the only thing I bought for the
There's no
meeting
action on it.
today was,
No.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
I know, it's only $9, but.
That's a, I didn't recognize my name, so maybe when I.
They're gonna make it uncentered. They're gonna move.
It's very much common.
Put the, yeah, maybe there's a common name to make it.
Yeah.
So they want to show the center. That's gonna be more towards one side of the wall, so that you have access.
This fire area.
That's it's. We have a door to go outside on each side. What's the point to go? Why, that was the whole point. We don't need access to go through. You can go right outside that door. I'm for it. I buy it.
That one quit blooming about a week ago, but I was really good last year. And this one ended about 2 weeks ago.
Hi. How are you?
These are balloon flowers. They, you know, like the normal buds, but they come out like, do you remember like the lantern flowers?
Shoot.
That little, once they've already gone away, they create like a lantern. That's kind of what these look like just before they bloom.
Just before they bloom.
Yeah. So they have that big ball at the front and then they pop open. Yep. And then I have a balloon plant that has,
Yes, because.
it has white flowers and then afterwards in the summertime, once all the flowers are gone, it's gonna create like a red bulbous thing, a red balloon. That's called a balloon plant. I thought that was pretty cool. I don't think I got a picture.
See all these flowers he's got blooming over there.
That's another one of those H flowers, I can't remember if that's part of here. When,
This is where the
when I was
babies
really little, when we moved into that house, it was like that little.
Alright, let's go get our food.
But my dad.
Did Jason take Caitlin too, I'm guessing?
Work out of you, and he got taken out. And he's fine ever since.
So.
Oh, dear.
That's too bad.
Now what we have going on is that first one of the rose gems, that pure white one, that's a crossbreed between that pink one and that white one. And it turned pure white. Oh, it turned pure white and India.
Wow.
But they were printed right next to each other. And one's white, or the red and white, and one's the pink. And then the one that's squared up in between the little ones is that pure white. Weird. We have those almost all day. And then finally got, have you ever seen the face of a dragonfly?
Oh my goodness.
It was so cute. And it was just sitting there on the chair with me for like 10 minutes. It was just like,
It looks like something you see in cartoon film.
All I know is
there's a fox that she kind of, he was like posing for me in different ways. It's just like, wow, adorable.
She made a photo of you.
Yeah. Now there's his full body.
Yep.